Good morning. It is Friday, March 31st, 2023 at 11:09 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. So today we're going to talk about a way to fund me, basically, a way for the military to fund me that I think makes the most amount of sense. The $230 a day situation. But first I want to start off by saying we had a tragedy here domestically in the United States. Two military helicopters crashed into each other in Kentucky yesterday, killing at least 9 military personnel service members. This is a tragedy. This is horrible. But I'm sure there's going to be a full investigation. But certainly I hope that the 5G did not play a part in this helicopter accident, and certainly between the FCC, NASA, and the Space Force, we can 100% ensure that a satellite was not projecting wireless waves into the vicinity of these helicopters unless they were military-grade satellite used for communication, right? There was no private or international spy satellites pointed in on that area of surface of the ground or projecting any type of waves in that vicinity. Certainly we have the technology in year 2023 to ensure that. So I hope that's the case. And as far as 5G, in honor of these folks, these military personnel, I am proposing a moratorium that I'll get into. It plays into the part of the funding that I was talking about, but I want to do what I can to try to ensure that these military exercise crashes don't happen again. So, I don't control supercomputers. I work in collaboration with them. I don't control AI. They don't control me. When I had metal fillings in my teeth, there was one occurrence the night I was arrested and thrown into solitary confinement where they showed me potential power, but that could have been cross-dimensional time travel type stuff that sounds crazy when I get into it, but I am kind of a physicist at heart. Anyhow, they don't control me, I don't control them, we work together, and so supercomputers, I humbly ask, let's back off of tracking all new passports entering the United States. I know I proposed that kind of protocol. Let's back off that. Those will stay logged in computer systems for quite some time. Let's focus our energy, if you're running out of computing space, on military helicopters. Now, I was going to be a helicopter pilot in the military. I don't know the status of the technology in these machines. But if they do have a link up to satellite communication, right? If they have some kind of link up to military satellites and you have access to those satellites, what we want to do is run a diagnostics on all military helicopters in the United States, at least domestically. And what we can do as a reference point, here's a little intel about Seattle. We went and hiked Discovery Park. In Seattle, we hiked down to the lighthouse, and at the lighthouse, a Coast Guard helicopter was running drills. It was circling, and then it came down into the Puget Sound, which I believe is at sea level, and it hovered. I visually verified it hovering above another Coast Guard dinghy at as close to sea level as it could possibly get without landing in the sea. I believe it was hovering maybe 15 to 25 feet off the water, sometimes as 6 or 7 meters, sometimes as low as 15 feet off of the water. And it hovered for at least a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. It was still hovering when we had left the park, I believe. So I visually verified this helicopter getting as low. Its altimeter got as low. I don't know if that links up with satellites, but it got as low as it could. And that was close to my cell phone. If you were tracking my cell phone, that we could have marked that helicopter. It might be sitting in a hangar right now. So what we need to do is verify that altimeter and cross-reference, run diagnostics on all the other altimeters and electrical systems and all the other military helicopters based off of known altitudes of tarmacs where these helicopters are located, military bases that are tarmac, what elevation above sea level are those tarmacs located at, and then we can use the system to verify that all the electrical systems in these helicopters are working correctly because they're linked up hypothetically. I don't know, maybe they're all autonomous. That's the way I would keep them, but for all we know, Lockheed Martin or Boeing made them so that, or Huey or whoever makes them now, made them so that they all link up to a satellite system. I don't know. If they do, maybe the supercomputers can help ensure that this tragedy doesn't happen again. That's the best I can do, is ask the computers for help. It's a tragedy. As I said, in the honor of those fallen military personnel, I propose a moratorium on wireless systems in the United States domestically. So what I'm proposing here, I talked about how military personnel we could do a wire transfer into my Navy Federal Credit Union account once a day, $230. What I'm thinking is we set up this Navy Federal Credit Union transparency account where anybody who has deposited that's a military personnel into the account can see what my transactions are. But people now have phones that they take pictures of their checks and deposit them electronically. I've never done that on any of my devices. I don't necessarily trust that, but that's the way things are going. So let's take advantage of this system, right? So you could send me my Navy Federal Credit Union checks, my account setup, password, username, a debit card, and a phone, a smartphone, one that uses 5G, and this is where the moratorium comes in, what I'm proposing. We want the standard issue, what's going to be the standard issue for all military personnel, all government personnel in the United States. I would suggest Nokia. Samsung is another good option. Nokia is a European company. Samsung is South Korean, I believe. Whatever the best option is as far as price, but Apple is overpriced, and they are an American company, but they make most of their labor is slave labor in other countries. Not that Samsung and Nokia aren't the same situation. I'm just saying, as far as government budgets go, you're probably going to go with the cheaper models. So you send the phone. It's got the app on there for Navy Federal Credit Union. It hypothetically has no other apps, right? And you can put a list of rules, but it goes without saying, no new apps are downloaded. It uses the cellular network. I will not connect it to a Wi-Fi network. I do not plug it in to a computer, even a vehicle dash, anything with a computer doesn't get plugged into that. It gets plugged into a 2-prong outlet or 3-prong outlet, an outlet in a wall to charge. What else? I make no calls from it. Never make a call from it. It simply has an unlimited data plan, and it functions on the wireless network, right? And we want the ground-based wireless network. We don't want it to function off of satellites, although it may have a satellite link-up capability. That's up to the government, to the military. So it has the app, the Navy Federal Credit Union app, where I can take pictures of checks and deposit them in my account. It has a 2-part verification setup on it, or instructions on how to set it up, so that it does facial recognition and fingerprint to unlock the phone. Now, military personnel write their checks for $230 to Mitchell Miller. They date it one day at a time throughout the month. So there's once a month I get a certified letter from, could be a military base, could be the Pentagon, a certified letter with 30 or 31 checks or however many checks for the month. They're all dated on the day I'm supposed to deposit them. So I put them in that order, and each morning or each day when I have time, I take a picture of a check and I deposit it into the account. Now maybe, I don't know how these apps work, maybe the app itself stores a picture of the check, maybe it's stored on the camera in the phone. Either way, it can be remotely accessed and deleted, all the check images. The checks come, I deposit them using the phone. I cut out the name and address and keep those little slips. Those go into a bin for the drawing after the 365th day. The rest of the check with the routing and bank number and account number, I burn those periodically, once a week, once every couple weeks. They get burned. At the end of the year, I'll draw the winning name and address. That will get published on the invisible page on my Plot-M website, the CIA page. I'll publish the name and maybe the zip code or something like that. I don't know. Probably not the full address on there. But the name of the person. So draw the address, then I can burn all of those and start again in the following year. The winner gets the motorcycle and the piece of art. So I think this is the best way to do it. If I forget a day, I deposit 2 checks in one day, or if I'm busy or something gets caught up. But if I'm not depositing it after so many days, you'll be able to see that something is wrong. I can take these checks with me. I can put them in a hotel safe and do the deposits every day. The only other thing I would take pictures of on this phone is if I'm at a hotel room, I would take pictures of the serial number and the identifying information on the television in the hotel room. So let me just finish up with this special phone. This is the model we're all going to use. So it's a moratorium. So we say we all have this 5G phone, and once the wire, because there's, how much more do you need computer technology wise? What else are they going to improve? It's a marketing scheme to get people to upgrade phones and software. So we're going to say to the wireless companies, once this phone doesn't work on your network anymore, we're having a moratorium on all new generations of wireless service. So this is it. You need to keep this 5G capable, operating on your system, no matter what, no matter how many generations, and when you're linked up, through a chip in your brain like people want to do or whatever. We want these phones to still work using the ground-based wireless towers that are set up. So that's the basis of the moratorium. And that's the basis of I take the phone with me, not every day, but it goes to my house, to my hotel room, in my vehicle. I don't carry it with me, because what would be the point? I only use it to deposit checks, right? So we'll have 365 different checking accounts. Like I said, the supercomputers might check up on those banks. We might secure the banking system in this way. And depending on if people want to personally fund this out of the military, or they could get it out of the military budget, they could get a per diem $230 deposit from the military and then write the check to me. However that works, I don't know. But that's my suggestion. If I do get this payment system within 2 to 3 months of getting my checks, I will take X amount of checks with me. I will take it upon myself. You do not have to prescribe for me or task me with doing this. I will do it on my own accord. I will book a ticket to San Francisco. I will book a rental car from San Francisco to San Diego. If it has a USB port in it, I will put my video journal in that USB port, drive down the coast over 2 or 3 days to San Diego. I will also book a cruise before I even fly. I'll book the plane ticket, the cruise, and if I need to, the rental car. I will book a cruise out of San Diego that stops in Costa Rica. On that cruise ship, in the TV, if it has a USB port, this video journal will be in the USB port. So once I book the cruise, anybody that wants access to this, to put it out there systematically and strategically to other governments, elected officials, and so on and so forth, can book on the cruise. As far as shore excursions, I don't know what I'll get into with that. I'd like to visit Mexico and Central America, but traveling alone, I'll have to weigh the options as far as that goes on what to do there. The main purpose is to have a tracked device, my phone, connected to Wi-Fi on the ship the whole way down to Costa Rica, so that I complete the whole circuit around North America. And we have an agreement among intelligence agencies and the international community that you will not use fake passports to enter the North American sector for the period of 15 months from the last border travel that has been completed. So I'll do that upon myself. I'll have enough money, $6,000 a month, $6,000 or $7,000 a month. Within 2 months, I should be able to do that trip. As far as the campground goes, I'll have my mom and dad. I'll set them up. I'll say I got to take 12 days and do this, and my mom and dad can run the campground and take over my duties there. So that could be as early as July. Could be something I do for my 40th birthday. Those are options. So I want to talk about these televisions and these cruise ships and these hotel rooms, anywhere in the houses, whatever. The CIA, the NSA, the National intelligence community put out a campaign while I was in Western Psych to get on local news channels and explain that televisions could be used to spy on you. They did their best. The public did not react and say, we want warnings on these televisions, we want kill switches on these televisions, we want guarantees that there aren't microphones in these televisions or batteries, right? And that's what I'm saying here. So in hotels, you have two obstacles. One, like the hotel I was in Seattle, the cable is locked. It has a cuff around it. It takes a special tool to pull the cable out of the TV. Some of them you can pull the power, some of them you can't, like in Denmark, right? So in some hotels you can't even unplug the television. Who's to say that these televisions don't have a small cell phone sized battery inside of them, so that even when you pull the plug, the speakers or a hidden microphone inside is accessible for days, a week, right? So even if you pull the plug as soon as you get in that hotel room, it's possible that the hotel owners, corporations, whoever, are spying on you in your hotel room. So again, if I were going to be intimate with someone, I would pull the plug on my TV, but I'd probably leave it plugged in with the USB port in. I don't plan on getting intimate with anyone on any of these trips that I've talked about or anything like that. But that's the other reason I would take a picture of the serial number and things like that on that phone, so that you can start to break down, is there a battery in this thing? Is there a microphone in this thing? Is it just using speakers to hear in the room? Who built it? Who made it? Now I have, again, if I worked for the FCC, I would make a screen come up on every television. First step, this device could be monitoring you and listening to your living room in your house. That would spur people to say, wait, what? And then we could have actual inspections at these electronics companies to make sure and see what components are in these TVs. The FCC should inspect them and fly to other countries and inspect if we're importing them, or put restrictions on imports, things like that. The last thing I wanted to talk about, well, it's not the last thing. Back to the helicopter crashes, I believe that some satellites have moved around. I believe a satellite was fixed on Utica, Pennsylvania on Wednesday night, or Wednesday morning. I woke up at 3, I lit up my phone at 3:16 on Wednesday morning. I could not sleep, could not fall back to sleep, so I started my day at 5 a.m. I know the feeling when I'm inundated with wireless waves. It's a cloudy feeling in my head, can't sleep, racing thoughts, things like that. And that's one symptom of mental illness, is racing thoughts. So, I don't want to up my medication any more than I have to, but if it persists, I've been sleeping fine, I slept fine, I've had trouble falling asleep last night, but the night before I slept fine. Now I do have a cold, but usually colds don't wake you up and keep you up like that. I took a COVID test, it came back negative, so I don't have brain fog from COVID. It's kind of a feeling that you get. And military personnel probably know this kind of feeling. You go like hell when the satellites and the wireless systems and the computers want you to go, and you crash when you can. And I've been in that mode, in that state before, and I can function pretty well like that. I just don't enjoy it and I don't like it. We did the interview Wednesday morning with Ken. He seemed a little bit tired, like he hadn't slept either, but I can't speak for him. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the payphones. This is the last little bit of intel I'll give you about Pittsburgh today. the Greyhound station downtown, the bus station, used to, when I checked several years ago, had at least 3 or 4 pay telephones there. Maybe 7. There were quite a few. Now, I'm talking about white-collar crime, talking about government corruption. You should make it easy for people to travel to another place and report these things. They want to get out of the corrupt area and report the problem, right? So I think there should be a federal law, or at least a mandate, or at least an executive order, that every major municipality that has either a bus station, a train station, or an airport, or all three, has to have pay telephones inside the security and outside the security checkpoint at airports. It has to have pay telephones at all of those stations. Any train stations, any bus stations, any airports. Inside the security checkpoint, outside the security checkpoint. At least one pay telephone, right? Now whether the municipality service these or it's a federal agency, however it's done, that should be the requirement. They're pulling these things out of these places every day. I saw them pulling them out of different locations, and someone needs to service them and make sure that people can make a phone call, a random anonymous phone call to a lawyer. And on that note, learn from my mistakes. I flew to Europe with information. I tried to contact politicians directly, the media directly. No one would take my interview. So your best bet is probably to contact an independent lawyer. Take your evidence in your explanation, meet with them, talk to them to decide how to disseminate the information and how to make contact about your white-collar crime or government corruption. Not all lawyers are corrupt. Hopefully you find a good one. And to take it a step further, we could have an 800 number that, I mean, we have the ACLU and things like that, so I'm not going to even go into that. So that's it for today. Sorry for the tragedy. And if you're a military personnel, government employee, it's been an emotional week. You may feel emotion bubble up inside of you because of these tragedies. We have scared children at schools, and we have a helicopter crash scenario. I want you to realize that if you get emotional, it could be a natural response, or it could be that we are all, to some degree now, psychically linked, and it could be other people's emotions that are bubbling up in you, because you might say, why am I emotional? I don't even understand. I'm pragmatic. I'm robot-like, kind of like me. So I felt it. Again, it could mean that you need to up your medication, or it could mean that these wireless waves, I'm just saying there's other explanations. That's why I like to ride it out, see if I'm going to have sleepless nights for weeks and weeks. Then I'll know, hey, they upped up the next generation of wireless. I must need an up on medication to function in this stuff, and I'll do so. But I do believe satellites moved, and I don't know how to investigate that. I don't have the power or the authority. I don't know if you want to give me that authority at this point. For now, we can do the checks. I can check into, and I can complete my circuit around the United States and work on my nonprofits. So thanks for watching. Join me next week when I didn't even talk about the airports and electric vehicles, but it's getting to be 30 minutes, so we'll leave that for next week or this weekend if I have some time without Hillary in the house. Or maybe I'll talk about it later today. I probably will. I might as well get it out there. So join me next time. Thanks.